Hello everyone, praise God. Today the miracle of the Exodus is taking place. The Israeli hostages, held since October 7, 2023 in the land of their enemies in brutal slave-like conditions, are being released and moved back to Israeli territory. Of course, this Exodus miracle didn't just suddenly happen today. The first big event of the process, which led to it, occurred weeks ago on September 23. In this video, we are going to look carefully at the whole process, what it represents, and at the modern prophecy now dramatically fulfilled, which actually points to an even more significant Exodus currently happening. The biblical story of the Exodus began when the Lord came down for an important meeting in Arabia. Notice in Exodus 3:8 the Lord's statement, "I am come down to deliver the Israelites out of the hand of the Egyptians." This was spoken while he met Moses in the same place from within a burning bush. At the Lord's direction, Moses then went and told Pharaoh to let my people go. Of course, initially this request was not accepted, but once the Lord applied immense circumstantial pressure, the decision was made in Egypt to release all the Israelites from their bondage and allow them to leave. So all the Israelites left the land of their captivity, even though their oppressor remained a military power which could and would threaten them in the near future. So one of the big reasons I am making this video is to raise awareness of the fact that, point by point, the world has watched as a strikingly similar Exodus process played out for the release of the Israeli hostages. In the Bible, the Lord got all the glory for delivering Israel from Egypt, but today the last Trump presidency has received the credit for bringing about the release of the Israeli captives in Gaza. I mean, even Hillary Clinton complimented Trump for his 20-point plan for peace in Gaza, leading to the release of the hostages. So we need to see that Trump parallels the Lord in the modern Exodus process. And when we do, we see just how perfectly the Exodus pattern is fulfilled by recent developments. The last Trump administration developed a then-secret plan to bring an end to the Gaza war, an exodus for the hostages, and peace in the Middle East. On September 23, 2025, Trump met with all the most relevant Arab leaders to present this plan outside his own administration for the first time and get their modifications and general acceptance. He later met with Netanyahu to discuss and tweak the plan and get the Israeli leaders' acceptance. In a UN General Assembly speech transmitted live to every cell phone in Gaza and broadcast on IDF loudspeakers in Gaza, Netanyahu literally demanded, "Let my people go." At first, Hamas continued to refuse, yet under unprecedented pressure to do so, and following difficult negotiations held from October 6 to October 8 in Egypt, which is September 23 through 25 on the Julian calendar, Hamas finally agreed on October 8 to a ceasefire deal which would include the immediate release of all the hostages. Which brings us to their release today. The hostages are leaving Gaza in peace today, even though Hamas is not yet disarmed and disbanded. It can and will still pose a threat to Israel. Okay, so the other big reason I am making this video is to raise awareness of the fact that all this amounts to a demonstrated fulfillment of the first part of what Jesus famously told Joshua Malekla back 7 years ago in 2018. From the time that Israel became a nation in 1948, there will be 77 years to the Exodus. This was the first sentence Jesus spoke to Joshua in that vision. Rounding to the nearest whole year, we see there have indeed been 77 years between when Israel became a nation on May 14, 1948, and today's historic exodus of the long-held Israeli captives from Gaza. So that first sentence of the revelation to Joshua has now literally come true. However, the final sentences from Jesus to Joshua indicated that by Exodus he was primarily referring to the rapture of the church. On the 23rd and 24th of September 2025, I will come to take my church. Then afterwards there will be a 7-year tribulation on those left behind. Then on the 15th of September 2032, I will return to earth as king. If you have not watched my last video about this, please do so. I will not repeat what I there presented about this prophecy here, except to say that, just as the Lord came down to begin the Exodus process in Arabia thousands of years ago, and just as the last Trump administration held a meeting with Arab leaders on September 23, 2025 to begin the modern Exodus process for the Israeli hostages, so we may be sure that Jesus indeed came on the 23rd and 24th of September to begin a divinely ordained process which is to culminate in the evacuation of his church from earth to heaven before the 7-year tribulation befalls those left behind. By 7 years, Jesus no doubt meant 7 prophetic years, 7 periods of 360 days each. This is 2,520 days, or 2 times 1,260 days. This many days before the second coming, on September 15, 2032, is October 22, 2025. Please note that the month of September only exists on Roman calendars. Its name comes from the Latin word septem. So Jesus was referring to a Roman calendar when he spoke with Joshua. But which one? The calendar in use during the time of his ministry on earth, the Julian calendar, or the modern Roman calendar we all use today, the Gregorian? If the Julian, then Jesus will complete our Exodus from earth process on or before November 4, 2025, which is October 22, 2025 on the Julian calendar. If the Gregorian calendar is what Jesus was referring to, then our rapture will take place on or before October 22, 2025. Now before this video ends, I want to point out what is likely a rather large error in my last video. It is this. I said that Jesus must have intended to give us a window of possibility for the evacuation of the church, spanning from September 23, 2025 until when the World Cup 2026 is scheduled, June 11. But in the making of this video, I read the prophecy more carefully and noticed that it states that the 7-year tribulation, ending on September 15, 2032, will be on those left behind, which very much appears to mean that the church must leave them behind on earth on or before the beginning of that 7-year period. So this is why I now see that the window of possibility for the evacuation of the church is between September 23 and October 22, 2025. And for the record, I think it is most likely that Jesus was referring to the Julian month of September, so I'm expecting to be caught up to heaven on or before November 4, 2025.